So these are the specs I got from Ian Castley at Econobox Garage. So that tells me exactly how big to make this hole that I drilled out and all that stuff. Also tells me how big to make the ramp. Now when I got this, as you had seen in previous videos, the plan was to have the hood be opening stock, and now we're going to have the the front tilt hood. But I'm still going to put the ramps in the hole on simply so you can convert back. So what I'm going to have to do on this one is I'm obviously going to have to fill this hole. Then I'm going to manufacture this little bit here, and the reinforcement of it is going to be a washer, so a fender washer, which I'm going to drill out. So that's what's going to happen with this, and then we'll go on to the next. And what I'm going to use for this is I have the frame rail that this came off of. I have both sides. Behold, frame rail with what looks like ready-made ramps here. Where's my sheet here? There it is. So this says, so I believe this is actually 2 1-to-1 scale. Let's just double check that. And drawn on here, it sure looks like it's to scale. So is it long enough? Yes, it is. So we're going to cut this off here and work with that. Voila, 2 wedges. Well, got to be trimmed to size and cleaned up, obviously, but it's a start. Anyway, so this, I'm going to take a metal scraper, scrape all these off. Then I think I'm just going to grind them. I'm not going to sandblast them because that makes a big mess, but we're going to get these cleaned up now. So all I'm doing, metal scraper, I'm just taking the worst of the schmoog off. I explained to you, I think in the previous video, schmoog stands for shit, muck, occasional goo. So once I get this down to, because if I just grind this off, what I'm going to do is the grit on the grinder is going to just drive all this grease and dirt into the metal, right into the grooves. You'll never get rid of it. You'll never have a clean weld. Paint won't stick to it very well. All kinds of little stuff like that. So I'm going to clean this off. I'm going to use my handy dandy degreaser. Get that off. This is coming along nicely, actually. So, and then I'm going to grind the paint off to get these things down to bare metal. So that's way better, right? How long did that take? And just so you know how potent this degreaser I use is, it's the Proform stuff. If I put it on the epoxy that I spray, within like 2 weeks, it'll still take it off. And that epoxy is pretty bulletproof stuff. So, but yeah, that's way better. Where'd I put the other one now? I guess I could have showed you the bench grinder. Basically, I just put the wheel inside. So here we are at the bench grinder. I just want to let you know something here. Remember when I was cutting the rail off, right? Or the angles off the rail, you probably saw my cutting wheel slip a little bit, come back. This is why you should use your guard. I don't use the guard, that's my choice. I do it for video purposes, but also because I'm an idiot, as I've demonstrated a number of times through these videos. So this was, I was lucky, that's all I got, was that little mark right there. So that's not too bad. But when you look at the leather glove, like, she opened it up pretty good, right? So that's why you want to be careful. If I hadn't had that glove there, you know, my hand would be bleeding and it would not be a Band-Aid free trip today. The other issues, or the other things is, and I've said this in other videos, wear the glasses. Wear them. I can't count the number of times I've had a piece of plastic actually come flying off this little piece of plastic here. Shard of metal hits, would have gone right into my eye. Doesn't, because I'm wearing a little piece of plastic. Do that, okay? You'll thank me for it, because without the little piece of plastic, you know, you'll never see another set of boobs again. And that's just not something that's in my list of goals. I want to see more boobs. So I wear the glasses. And I wear the gloves because I want to be able to use all my fingers to... Anyway, we won't get into that. Grinder. I'm going to do the inside of this thing now. Nicely. I'll probably get that middle bit. The sides I need to do a little bit on here yet. Look at that. A little bit right there. And going. Oh, a little bit over there. There. Done. Ready for drilling. Good. I took a fender washer and I marked the center and I put it on so that the center of the hole was centered, welded it on, and then I used a step bit on the drill press to come down. So I'm going to do the same. Those are undressed, that's just the raw welds. I'm going to do the same. I've got it set up here. So we're going to put this together. So I've turned the heat up for this a little bit. Raw welds. I'm just going to let this cool on concrete for a minute. So while that's cooling, I'll show you what I did here. I took a piece of 2x4 and I drilled a 1-inch hole through it. That is big enough for, bigger than the hole. The hole's 7/8. So, and the lines, that's where what I did was, this should be cool enough to pick up, yep. So what I did was, you see how those are edged in there? I just hit it with a hammer and pounded them in so it's flatter. Seemed to work. And now we're back to the drilling. Little bit of oil on the bit. You saw me setting up the frame horn, and here it is. Remember I was saying that I had the that extra hole to get rid of there, the little one. So what I've done is I put a 2x4 for it to sit on, with copper sitting on the 2x4, and I'm just going to get in there. Basically, I'm just going to plug weld that and fill it up with the weld. Then I need to put in the 2 captive nuts. That is where if it's a traditional opening and closing hood or bonnet, that's where those 2 plates go that catch the arms off the handle. I cut a couple of inches off and then I cut it in half down the middle. So I cut like along there, and then the piece that fell off I cut in half this way and trimmed it back so the kerf made it so that I can put these in together. They will fit. There we go, nice and tight. So I'm going to set those as a backer plate. I'm going to plug weld them in on the frame, and then this, and then when I weld the frame, I'm going to do this one with a backer plate because I can use a little more heat. This is framework, this is structural, so it's not body work. So that's where we're at. And there's the top. I've ground it down. It's a little ugly from the backside because it's hard to get in there, but yeah, she looks good. I just plugged it up with weld. Turned out okay. And put the captive nuts in. Then I'm going to attach this thing. Well, then I'm going to put the wedge on the front, and then I'm going to attach it. So it definitely lines up. That's the front there where the wedge is. So holes are in the right spot where they were drilled, and I test fitted it and it did go. So to protect the threads of the captive nuts during welding, I have threaded I put an extra nut on a bolt that was just a little bit too long, threaded it in until it's just flush with the nut that's going to be welded, and then tightened this down as a lock nut so that it's holding the nut in place on the inside, protecting the threads, but also so that the screw isn't sticking out past the nut, so I don't damage the threads on the bolt either. So that is how this is going to get welded in. I'm just going to give it like 3 tacks. I'm not going to overheat it because these don't bear a lot of weight, so I'm not too worried about that. But the captive nuts are in. Best access I could get. I even tried coming through